afternoon, everybody, and back to RobLive. We're back in the studio again. We're trying to knock out a couple of summer episodes, and I'm really excited because I'm meeting all these cool people this summer. Like I have a list of guests that, you know, is ongoing list, but we have all these amazing people just popping up out of nowhere. And recently met a couple of guys that really helped me out. I was at a nonprofit conference, like a networking mixer, and I'm walking in there and I'm thinking, man, I really got to market my my nonprofit, and then, you know, Jim and I are how do we get more episodes out? And so we're thinking about all this digital marketing, and who's up there but a digital marketing company out of Hanford, and they had some really good tips. I followed up with them later, and they haven't been able to get rid of me since. Welcome to the studio, Broken Cup Studios. Studio. One, right? One so far. They're growing. So we have Jason Spriggs and Ian Spriggs on camera. And then we have Mills, Mr. Alan Mills, off camera. I was like, oh, yeah. I was
You got it.
No, I was thinking, I got it right?
Yeah.
Yes. That's how new we are. We're still figuring it out, right? So thank you guys for coming, first and foremost.
Absolutely.
Of course.
And what's crazy is, like, everything's happening so fast. It was like maybe, a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
We didn't even know each other. And since then, like, I've seen you guys like 4 times, and like it's been really cool. Can you just briefly give us a description of what Broken Cup Studio does?
So we're a digital marketing company. We do everything from custom software to mailers to digital ads, you know, pay-per-click, things like that. We also do videography and storytelling. And recently we just started a podcast.
Yes. Coffee time?
Coffee Break.
Coffee Break. And we'll have a description for you guys to check out Coffee Break. They have an episode out with a really cool old school arcade background. Mm-hmm. What was that arcade place called?
So the owner is Wesley, and it's called Turnstile Gaming.
Turnstile Gaming.
Yeah, so he's one of our clients. He's one of the first clients we picked up at Hanford, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've been working doing this for like over a decade, and then we just, pandemic hit.
Yeah.
Everyone was pretty much remote, and then we needed an office space.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, well, let's go rent an office so we can all kind of not drive to Fresno, but still work and collaborate. We tried doing that, and they wanted a business license before we could rent anything, so we had to start a business so that we could.
Then that's where the LLC.
Yeah, so that's why we did it.
And the name Broken Cup.
Excuse me.
How did that transpire?
All right, so probably 12, 15 years ago, Ian was learning how to do digital, like Blender and things like that. So what
3D motion graphics.
Yeah, motion graphics and things like that. And so I was trying to help him,
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, well, we'll figure this out. And I think we probably spent 2 solid days on building a cup, and it was the most broken cup you've ever seen. And I just thought it was fitting.
So that was like the first graphic.
Yeah.
Broken Cup Studio.
He's come a long way since then. I'll tell you that.
No, I've seen the work you guys do, and we're gonna put a link to a lot of the work that they've been doing. I love the drone work. I love the graphics. But what I love most about what you guys do is a lot of companies claim to help people, you know, and maybe a little charity work on the side here and there, right? And we help community. But I've been a direct recipient, and I've seen you guys at work really helping communities. And I'm talking about reestablishing Stratford. So to give the audience a little background, I have a nonprofit out of Stratford, California. And that's why we were at this networking event. And when I reach out to these guys, right, the first thing I'm thinking of, like, okay, what kind of budget am I going to need to revamp our 1975 website? And I won't throw all the details out there, but I'll tell you that these guys were extremely helpful and affordable, especially for a nonprofit trying to help communities. And now we have a brand new website thanks to you guys, right? Shout out to Broken Cup Studio for the website. Jim, we have any applause there on that one? There it goes. There we go. Thank you, audience. Thank you for being alert and present. All right, no, but thank you guys for that.
Yeah.
And And it's just for those of you out there who are thinking about doing something, social media, or even have a small business, and you don't have all the answers. Broken Cup is an example of teaming up with people who do have the answers and who want to help you, so you don't have to take it all on by yourself. I think a lot of people are hesitant to start something because they're like, well, I know this product, but I don't know digital marketing, and I don't. So there are people out there that can help, and it's a lot more affordable than you would imagine, right?
No, it's not.
No,
It can be very expensive. You really need to shop around
and get the right people.
and get the right
So
people.
it's affordable if you get the right person.
Yeah. So, like for us, we don't try to make all of our money and go to Hawaii off one client.
Yeah.
You know, we live and die by referrals, right? So for us, you know, if we see somebody who's struggling but they have a great idea, or maybe it's a nonprofit and they're trying to help people or whatever,
Yeah.
I got too big a heart, so we'll cut huge deals with them.
Yes, huge deals.
Sorry. Yeah, so we do that quite often, probably too much. My business sense probably isn't the best, but, you know, at the end of the day, that's how we get a lot larger clients too, because you know more people, and then, you know, they'll come up to somebody and they'll be like, hey, I'm looking for this X, Y, and Z, and you're like, I know just the guys, you know, and then that's how we've got some of our huge clients, you know.
So this kind of reminds me, what you guys are sharing is like, there's this place in Lemoore called Aguilar's Automotive, and I go to them, never met them, and I take them the van. I say, hey, the van's making a little bit of noise here. Perfect opportunity to take me to the house, right? Just, all right, I think it's right. Could have made up anything. I would have been like, okay. He looks at it. He goes, you know, this model commonly does it. It's probably a little glitch. Just, you know, unplug your battery and then reconnect it.
Yeah.
Right. He lost out on a couple thousand right there, but he wanted to help out the customer.
Yeah.
And therefore, anytime anything comes up,
Exactly.
I'm going back. And I feel like you guys are like the Aguilar Automotive of digital marketing.
Yeah, I mean, we've got clients from California all the way to Maine to Florida, like all over the place. A lot of it's solar based, and, you know, different industries that have, you know, huge marketing budgets, you know, and those ones are great.
Like the solar companies, right?
Yeah, but then, you know, we do work for mostly all of the like child abuse centers here, like the CAPCs and stuff like that, and they, you know, we don't really charge very much at all.
People like me.
Yeah.
Nonprofit work.
For us, it's always like, do we have the time? And if we have the time, you know, is it a good organization? Is it something that we can do? Like, of course we can't do that for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, there's no reason why we, you know, if we have the time to do it, why not do it?
No, I appreciate you guys for being that way. I think that it kind of renews people's belief in fellow human kindness. Because sometimes you're like, you know, it's a dog eat dog world, and you meet people like you, like maybe not.
I met a great salesman one time. He could be on top of the world. He had a lot of personal issues.
Yeah.
But man, he had a great, you know, strategy. You know, when I was learning to sell with him, and I'm not a salesman, so what I did learn from him was great. But he's like, we're not going to sell anything. We're just going to go talk to people and make friends. If we can give them something that they can use, awesome. If not, we have a friend at the end of the day. And we did that, and, you know, for days and days, and he could sell water to, you know, anybody, right? Like, he was just amazing salesman, but he never pushed anything. And I was like, how did you get like this? He goes, 10,000 more hours than you. That was it, you know? So,
the expert hour thing, right? So audience who's not familiar with this formula, I believe if you dedicate at least 10,000 hours to a particular skill, you then can be labeled an expert, right? Is that how it goes?
Yeah. So, I mean, he was just amazing. He could talk to anybody. And
I like that approach.
I just thought it was a good idea. And we just kind of go that way. Like, and I'll go talk to you if you're a business owner or whatever. I'll talk to you. And if I can help you, great. If I can't, I'll tell you too. I'm like, no, either, you know, it's going to be too expensive to hire us, or maybe it's something that, like, hey, you know what? Actually, there's other people who would be better fit for you.
Yeah.
because there's so much work out there, especially in the digital space and the technology space. You don't have to fight for everything. You just have to find your niche. That's a really good one, and just go for it.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I was sitting down with you guys, and it was totally different. I was like, wait a minute, like these guys are really like looking out for me. It was crazy, and I even so Jim, we have Jim off camera here. Your microphone works, right, Jim?
Yeah, it does.
Yes. Chances are, production's always
In the house.
In the house. So, Jim, let me tell you a little story about these guys that just kind of encompasses, like, wow. Not only did you guys help us out, but then I invited them. I said, hey, we're going to this networking thing. And they're like, oh, yeah, we used to be a part of the chamber. We're going to reconnect. So we all show up to this lunch thing. And we have all this networking mixers. We share about the channel. They share about their thing. It was a really cool event. But anyway, we had lunch there, right? Mm-hmm. So then I'm going to pay the lunch tab, and I see Alan there. And Alan's like, no, we're good. I go, oh, what do you mean? He's like, oh, no, we already handled it, right? So not only did they revamp the website and give me like gems of how to restructure my the social media sites and things, they're buying lunch too. And I'm like, who are these guys? Like, people like this exist, right? And I didn't feel
There's
like
small pockets, though. There's very small pockets
Yeah.
of us.
No, so I want to go back to the origin story because I think that where we come from, kind of dictates who we become later in life to some degree. So if we were to go back, I know that you said at one point, Jason, that you were in school, but just kind of not into it and just kind of wanted to get out early. So you leave school early, right?
Yeah, so I think it was probably a bigger problem back then, or at least I hope it is. That's gonna sound horrible, but I'm kind of I'm kind of intelligent.
Yeah,
I'm able to learn things quickly, and I got really bored really quick, and it was just repetitive, and hopefully that being a teacher that you can spot those kids and challenge them because nobody challenged us. So I just stopped going to school, and then they said, "Well, your parents are going to go to jail and all of that kind of stuff, right?"
Tickets. Yeah.
And so my mom was like, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "Why would I waste my time?" And I already had a full-time job and everything. I was just like, "Whatever."
You'd already moved on.
Yeah, and
what was your first job?
I was a dishwasher in a restaurant, and then I went for like a month, and then I became the night manager.
You went from dishwasher to night. Man, that's moving on up.
Yeah. So I mean, I can learn. Or at least back then, I could learn things really fast. So
Does that restaurant still exist?
No. It's I think it's a medical place now.
And this was in Hanford.
Yeah.
In Hanford, California.
Yeah.
Right. For those who are watching over in other parts of the U.S., Jim, how far do you think our subscribers span so far? Do you think we have anybody internationally?
They got clients in Maine. I mean, geez.
Let's see if we can get those guys.
Yeah. No, but right now, currently, do you think we have any subscribers outside of California yet? Do you know of any? I don't.
No, but if they're listening, they could post and let us know.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
network. It's all about networking, Robert.
There you go. If you're outside of California right now, Hanford is a very not too small, right? What, 50,000 people?
Yeah, it's small for California, but for the rest of the United States, it's a pretty decent size.
Good size, yeah. And we're in the Central Valley, kind of the center of California. A lot of agricultural stuff. So I guess some people reference Hanford as a farm town. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah, it's very rural. I think a big part of the economy there is based off dairy and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you decide you want to come check out Hanford at any time. I think, what are some spots you guys think? I think Superior Dairy, people talk about that. Where else?
Yeah, please, because if Superior Dairy ever stopped being in business, what else would you have?
We have Steve Perry.
Oh, all right.
Steve Perry was from, for those who don't know, Steve Perry from Journey was originally from Hanford.
Is he from Lemoore?
Well, okay, here's a story as I heard. All right, let's throw this out there. It's good. So the story that I heard from people who went to school with him is that Steve Perry was from Hanford. Then he was at Hanford High, and he was selling weed, and he got caught. And so Hanford kicked him out of the district, and he ended up having to go to Lemoore.
I think
That's the story
Jan
I've
Michael
heard.
Vincent. Is that
Jan
it?
Michael Vincent, yes.
He was from
Hanford High, right?
Hanford? Yeah, I think so.
And that's where you went, Hanford High as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, Hanford's got some talent, and you know, Broken Cup Productions is from Hanford, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we got some. There you go. Another random. I don't know if you guys are into like cartoons or animation, but the guy who created the regular show, right? He's from Hanford as well. J.G. Quintel, and then Tyler
Perry?
is. No. I wanted to say Tyler Perry. Tyler Henry,
Okay.
the Hollywood medium.
Oh, I was just going to tell you.
He's
that.
from Hanford as
He
well.
went to your school.
Yeah. So
Very
yeah,
awesome.
we got some people, and hopefully they'll be bragging about all of us in a couple of years. So that's awesome. So you went to high school. It was too
Yeah.
slow. You get out. What's your solution for a diploma?
Oh, they said I had to go back, and then I had to get all my credits. So then they said, you're gonna have to stay here, and I was like, this is dumb, And then one of the counselors was like, why don't you go to adult school? And I was in adult school for like 2 months and got all my credits and graduated. So
I'm done at
I was
16,
done.
right?
Yeah,
fairly young. You were a young
I
senior.
might have just been turning 17.
Okay.
When there.
So then military's next.
Yeah, so then I was, doing the whole restaurant thing, which was a whole drama thing in the there. I didn't really. There's no future, right? Like I didn't think I was going.
But you were the manager. That's one
Yeah, it
point.
doesn't matter. That was not.
So let's hear the restaurant manager side of things. What kind of things?
It was all that they're not open in the middle of the night, so it was mostly like managing like the cleanup crews and stuff.
Oh, I
like
see.
that, right.
So you were the late night.
Yeah, and at 17 years old, and your people that work for you are in their 40s and 50s.
I was gonna say
They're
you're like a
not-
prodigy, right?
Yeah, they did not appreciate it too much,
like,
And
how did the dishwasher?
yeah.
You know what's funny though, because it happened so fast. There were some guys who were probably instructing you early on, like, "Hey, dishwasher boy, make sure
Yeah.
you do." And then a couple months later, they're like, "Can I get the day off?" And you're writing out their shift, right?
Yeah, it was weird. So then, I kind of got rid of that job, and a friend of mine, we were just about to turn 18, so I guess it was about a year that was there. He's like, "We're gonna join the Marines," and I was like, "What's that?" And he's like, "It's like the Army, and we can do it, and we'll go there by us. If you tell them that you're joining with me, then you and I can both go and we'll do it together." And
The
I was
buddy
like,
system.
all right, why not? So I signed up.
It was just like that.
It was just like that. I had no idea what the Marine Corps was, and then so I did that, and I was like, "Hey, dude," I called him. He was in Texas. I was in Hanford, and I was like, "Hey, I signed up," and he goes, "Man, that sucks." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "Yeah, they wouldn't let me in."
Oh.
So I was like stuck to go, So,
So you already signed up. This guy didn't get in.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, well, there's a movie, and I'll go watch this movie and see. It's about Marine Corps, and
Was it Full Metal Jacket?
that was
Audience, if you haven't
Yeah.
seen Full Metal Jacket, you got to see that. That's stuck in my mind.
So I think, oh man, this is gonna really suck. I don't want to do this. I'm like, well, you know what? I mean, I've got that 17-year-old or whatever,
Mindset,
18-year-old mindset. I'm like, if I don't like it, I'll just quit. Yeah, that doesn't really happen. So we get there, and it was like a rude awakening really fast. And then you'd meet these kids that had like, okay, we're just gonna quit. And then I was like, how long have you been in here? You keep getting dropped from training cycle to training cycle because they're trying to like get kicked out or whatever.
Yeah.
This one kid was in boot camp for like 6 months. I was like, why on earth would you? So what do you want me to do? Push-ups? Sure, let's do push-ups. Let's get out of boot camp.
How long is boot camp?
I think it's like a little over 3 months.
And at that time, this is the 80s, 90s.
90s.
Are the sergeants be able to slap you around or just yelling at you? What are the rules back then?
Yeah, it was a little bit. It was a lot different back then. It was different. It was different. Yeah. So just for reference, I remember that we had a drill instructor because on the movie you get one drill instructor that you see, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that. You have a senior drill instructor, and then you have 3 to 4 junior drill instructors.
Do the juniors tend to be worse than the senior in
Absolutely.
terms of abuse?
Absolutely. my senior drill instructor was this Jamaican dude, and he had the coolest accent, and he sounded like he really cared about you, and he wants to see you succeed and stuff, and you're like, well, this isn't going to be that bad, you're just sitting there, and he's like, you have any questions, you come to me, this, like, this is going to be all right, man, this will be all right. And then the drill instructors take charge, and he slams the door, and then all hell breaks loose. You're just like, it's like a cartoon. You're just like, what on earth? What's going on? There's stuff flying, there's
yelling
people
at you.
screaming at you. And it's not one guy screaming at you. There's one guy here, there's one here, and one behind you, and they're all asking you a different question at the same time. And you try to answer it, and now these three right here are going to just freak out because you're not answering them. And you try to do this, and then this.
Are you disrespecting me, soldier? So do you think that that's part of that contained, created chaos is what they're trying to help you understand for the for the battlefield, or what do you think that is about?
It's exactly what it is. Like, they did some really questionable stuff back then. Like,
can you give us one that's
so there's something
questionable?
that's called Firewatch, right? And so you have to be up and walking around with the flashlight and stuff for like an hour, and then somebody wakes you up, and then you go over and wake up the next guy, and it's just to train you for later on, like to perform Firewatch. But in boot camp, you're doing that. And anyway, the guy that was supposed to wake me up, he fell asleep. Right. So I'm supposed to be the next guy, and the guy who's, flips on the lights and wakes up the drill instructors.
Yeah.
Right. So like this is supposed to be like 4:30 in the morning. So it's like 5:30. Everyone slept in. The drill instructors come unglued. Right. So they this drill instructor's got a hold of me, and he's like, "You're going to die. I'm going to kill you today. I'm writing your parents. That you died in a training accident." And he's got this, it's called a parade sword, and they got these swords, and he's got it up against my neck here, up against the wall, and just, and as crazy as they act, I'm thinking, man, he might really be able to pull this off, Mm-hmm. Anyway, the only thing I was able to get out was, this recruit was never woken up, sir, right? And then it went from me being, the worst piece of junk in the world to they found the roster, grabbed the other kid, found out he was asleep, and they were beating the trash out of this guy while I stood there at attention. And then a captain walks in, and the captain says, "Staff Sergeant?" And then that drill instructor just kind of comes to attention and does an about face. "Yes, sir." He goes, "I'd like to speak to you outside." And we never saw him again, right? Because you're not supposed to do these things, right? So he was like crushing that kid's larynx, just pretty bad. Anyway, when we were graduating, we finally, at the end of the boot camp, they break you down so much that at the very end, like, you don't care. You could do 1,000,000 push-ups, whatever. It doesn't matter anymore,
Yeah.
I went in at 120 pounds. I came out at 190. None of my clothes fit.
Wow,
know?
just
so
full
it was
of
just
muscle,
right? Anyway, we asked the senior drill instructor,
Yeah.
like, what happened? And he says, "You don't have to worry about him. He's in Leavenworth now."
Wow.
So I guess I guess he went to jail for it, but yeah, that was pretty normal. Yeah.
And you're, what, 17, 18 at the time?
18, yeah, 18.
18. So then after boot camp, is that when you went to Somalia, or?
No, I went to, so when I joined, I wanted to be, in the infantry stuff. I wanted to be like the guys on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
And I took a test called the ASVAB or whatever.
Yeah.
You're familiar with that?
They still have that.
Yeah, so I did that.
Is it ASVAB?
Yeah, and then when I did that, I got the highest score recorded in Visalia because they had a thing over there.
You really were sharp.
Maybe I just picked the right answers, right? So I had like all the services kept calling me and stuff. And if I was smart, then this will tell you how not smart I was, because the Air Force was like, we want you to come with us. I'm like, I already joined the Marines. They're like, listen, we'll send you to college. We'll make you a pilot. How's that sound? And I'm like, I already joined the Marines. And they're like, you don't understand. All you have to do is come down here, sign some paperwork. We'll send you to college. I'm like, I don't want to do that. first day of Marine Corps boot camp, I was like, man, I am dumb. I should have joined the Air Force.
I'd be in college.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Well, that was impressive, though. You had the highest score in the Air Force was calling.
Yeah, so I had all that, but I wanted to do, you know, I was telling my recruiter, and he's like, "Oh, don't listen to them," and you know all that, and they were trying to give me like, you know, like intelligence jobs and all this other stuff, and I was like, "No, I want to be in the infantry," and the, you know, everyone has a bad story about the, you know, the recruiter. Mine was like a pretty good guy. He's like, "You do not want to do that. That is dumb. You don't want to do that." And I was like, "I do want to do that," and he's like, "I can't. I have to reserve those places for people who score lower than you."
Scores.
And I was like, well, then you know, what am I going to do? And he's like, there's only one way I can give it to you, and it's the dumbest move. Don't do it. And it's, you go open contract. And I was like, well, what's that? He's like, you could be assigned to anywhere the Marine Corps needs you. You might can get infantry, but you might also be a cook. You might also be like whatever they have, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, well, let's try that. I'll gamble it. And he's like, no. And it took me a while to like get them to finally do it. And he's like, you are dumb. Don't do this, kid. Don't do this. And I was like, no, let's do it. So when I graduated the boot camp in San Diego, they said, you know, they tell you, you know, 0331, which isn't what I wanted, but it was a machine gunner. And I was like, well, that's still infantry.
Yeah.
So I had to go from there. I had to go to the Marine Corps training, MCT, which every Marine does. And it's where like it's like a little bit of a continuation of boot camp, but they teach you like more of like the, you know, weapon stuff. And then after that, I went to the School of Infantry. When I went to the School of Infantry, that's where it's like, all right, now you're going to learn about your job. So I was learning how to be a machine gunner, but I was like 7 foot tall and bulletproof, you know, it was pretty good. And it sucked because I got picked for recon, which is, I don't know if you know, that's like kind of like their, I don't know, like their special forces, right? That's force
Well,
recon.
that sounds cool, but
No, it doesn't, you know, because they were training right next to us.
yeah.
And I could barely do what we were doing, and these guys were like superhuman. And then they told me, "Yeah, you're going to go. You got picked to this," and I was like, "No way!" And then they got mad at me and told me it's an honor, you know, for you to blah blah blah. This is, you know, such a great thing for you to volunteer. And I was like, "Volunteer?" You know? And they were like, "Yeah, it's not mandatory, but you should be doing it. This is such an honor." Blah blah blah. And I was like, "No way, dude! I am not doing it." And it made so many people angry up the chain.
You were just ruffling feathers at all levels.
And then my first sergeant was like, you know what? If you don't do this, I'm going to send you to flipping Guam. And I was like, Guam sounds cool. So I went through all my training and everything, and they were telling everybody, oh, they're going to, you know, San Diego, or you're going to Paris Island, or you're going anywhere. And they're like, Spriggs, you're going to Marine Barracks, Guam. And I was like, dang it. So, you know, they gave me a week off to go home, tell my parents where I was leaving, going overseas, right? And, yeah, I told my dad, I'm going to South America. And he's like, where are you going? I'm like, Guam. He goes, that's not in South America. That's out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. I was like, oh, well, I don't know where I'm going, you know? And so then I ended up going to Guam. Wow. And then from Guam, I did barracks duty, and that's yucky. You have to look like a Marine poster all the time. So that was its own horribleness right there. And then when I finally left, it was about 2 years after that.
Yeah.
I went back to Camp Pendleton, and from Pendleton we went out on the 13th MEU, which when you get on the ships and everything. We're on our way to Australia because it was gonna be cool. We're gonna go see Australia, and then the boat stops. All Marines report to your commanding officer, and that's when we hear about like the you know, the Army got overran and everything, and we had to go over there and help with the evacuation of the. So
you're halfway to Australia when you hear this.
Yeah, you know, you don't even feel those boats; they're so big. You know, you're just, and then when they stop, you start to feel it. You're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And then we go over there, and you know, they told us, you know, that we're going to help evacuate the UN and all that stuff. So we went straight to Somalia. Yeah.
And was that the first time you saw like active
and
battle and conflict?
And Somalia was supposed to be like a peacekeeping mission, you know. So like if you look at all the news and stuff were like doing like humanitarian stuff, we were like, you know, making sure that, you know, the food was coming in and everything else, and the warlords weren't getting it and all that. But then you'd get shot out all day long by these guys, and you're just like, dude, we're trying to help you, you know, but you got kind of used to it, I guess.
I remember you telling me one story when I was in your office. Jim, check this out, because I just can't even grasp this. Jason said that they were eating, you know, is it MRE?
Yeah.
For those who don't know, it's like the freeze dried and you add water and then it cooks itself.
It's kind of like, okay, so you hear me complain. So it wasn't until I was almost out of the Marine Corps that I found out you can heat these things up, right? Because they have these chemical heating bags that you can put your food in, and then, you know, the chemical reaction will heat up the food, right?
Yeah.
Well, we were always high speed, low drag, and like all that portion of the MREs.
Yeah.
We never took that with us. Like I never even knew we had that, you know. And we were always eating cold, like nasty food all the time.
And so you were like, dude, I could have had a warm meal this whole time.
Yeah. So I mean, but I was lucky because I was heavy guns. So that's like 50 caliber machine guns, Mark 19s, like the really heavy ones.
Yeah.
And they don't make you carry that because it's too big.
Yeah.
So they gave us vehicles. So we were heavy
nice.
guns. So we would always just throw our food inside the engine bay and then heat it up while we were going. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a story that I remember you telling me. So check this out, Jim. And jump in, Jason, if I get this wrong. You were having lunch, and you're kind of squatting up against the fence or whatever, and you would hear bullets.
You see it first, you know. You usually wouldn't even hear it because, you know, so you're getting shot at all the time, and that's scary, right? Like that is something, but you get desensitized.
It's always scary.
You know, you get so desensitized because if it happens every day, like, and that's when I guess I remember it the most because I kind of had like this like epiphany, like what on earth are we doing? Because there's like 20 of us up against a wall, and we're kind of like sitting there, like kind of squatting up against it, and you can just see little puffs of dirt out there, and you don't move because you're like, oh, and you're brainwashed or whatever you want to call it, you know. These goofballs can't hit the broadside of a barn. You just sat there and ate the whole time, you know.
Didn't even get down.
No.
And wasn't even a conversation. Just like
you just get used to it. There's like flies. Have you ever seen those like commercials where the you know, like the starving people or whatever, and you see flies on them, and you're like, oh, why wouldn't they do that? After a while, you just stop swatting at it.
It's been there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine being shot at that often that I would get used to it. Have you ever been shot at, Jim? And what did you feel?
It ricocheted and went right over our heads when I was in the media. Yeah, we were on the west side over in Fresno by Fresno Pacific, and there was a shooting that we were over at covering, and the cops were trying to find a guy that, and he shot at them, and it ricocheted off a telephone pole behind us, and it fluttered, so you could tell the bullet was spinning. Mm-hmm. And it went right by our truck when we were in the back. And then from then on, we automatically mandated bulletproof vests for us to go out on those scenes.
So were you scared in that moment?
Well, we didn't know what it was until we realized, oh, shoot, that was a bullet that just went by. And, that the guy shot, and it ricocheted off the telephone pole by us. But
I can't imagine. Okay, so I had a...
I watched a guy get hit by a saw.
What?
Yeah, and it hit his helmet, and it knocked his helmet off, and it didn't hurt him, right? But like that bullet, this was in training, and it hit his helmet, and it flew off, and then we all laughed at him, and then, you know, at that age, you know, but now I'm thinking, man, why were we laughing so hard? That kid could have died, you know?
No, the mindset of our younger selves, right? It's invincible.
Oh yeah, I was 7 foot tall and bulletproof. I
like that, 7 foot tall.
I was dumb.
You get through. You get through. What is it? 4 years of the military, active duties, and you know.
And I was done. I was done.
Yeah.
It was.
I will just say this to spare the audience. You told me a story about something you saw. It's pretty horrific. Yeah. It's been running through my mind ever since you shared that with me. No, it's a good thing because it's built a sense of gratitude.
Yeah. No,
My
I
daily
will say,
problems are a joke.
Yeah.
Compared to what you shared.
We're all blessed. We are all blessed. There's,
Yeah.
You see some things and you're just like, my gosh, I've got no right to complain about today, and
So when you get out, then what?
well, I decided I was going to be done with this, and I don't know. I kind of I did 4 years. I think I was only in technically Guam is part of the United States, right?
Yeah.
But if you exclude that and you because it is almost in Japan, if you count that, I think I was only in the United States for like 6 months during this whole time. Like I was always everywhere, all over the world. And I was just done. And then after Somalia, that was just too much. I will say that they did really cool. They did us really well because as soon as Somalia was done, they took us to Seychelles, which is, if you ever get a chance, that's the most beautiful place on earth. All your screensavers and everything come from that island.
What is it called?
Seychelles.
Seychelles.
Yeah, it's a little island off here. Africa is beautiful. It's just not the part I was at.
Yeah.
And then we went to Seychelles and it was gorgeous. And that's kind of a funny story. So there's like, all these 4 or 5 ships or whatever it was. And we all come into this little island of Seychelles. And I think it was called, the town was called Victoria or something like that. There's so many people, right? And at that age and, that young man or whatever, you're like, I would like to go meet some ladies or something,
Yeah.
And you just look out there and there's so many people and you're just like, we're only supposed to stay in that town. I was like, no way, dude. So I stuck my thumb out. And a buddy of mine was like, you can't do that. And I was like, well, I'll see you later, dude. And he's like, well, band of brothers kind of thing. I'll go with you. And me and that guy had the best time in Seychelles. We went and we ended up with their military. And they're kind of like, I don't want to use the word gorilla, but it was kind of guerrilla. And, we had a couple drinks with those guys, shot their guns and stuff. They were really cool. And then we went dancing and stuff in like some pretty seedy nightclubs, and we had a great time. And we came back and everybody's like, this island's horrible. This sucks. And I was like, nah, this place is awesome. You guys didn't go to the right places, but they were all concentrated in one spot, and we got to see the rest of the island. We weren't supposed to, but of course we did.
Okay, so I'm sensing a pattern. When you talk about since high school here.
Yeah.
Jason's always like,
in trouble? Yeah.
Not only that, but like, okay, so here's this box, Jason. Stay in the box, and you're like, oh no, I'm out.
Yeah.
And
No,
it was very real matter of fact. Where does that come from?
I don't know.
Because it's pretty brave to do that.
No, I don't know. It's just ingrained in you.
Was your
so
mom or
Ian,
dad like that?
My mom. And Ian calls me Forrest Gump. Just because I'll tell him the things. Like after that we went to Phuket, Thailand, and they gave us like this huge like laundry list of things you must not do while you're here.
Yeah.
But I had a staff sergeant that was he was from Phuket, the actual place that we were at, and he was like, my men deserve time off. They're not going to have Cinderella Liberty, which means you'd have to be home at midnight. So they gave us
Cinderella Liberty,
right? And so they let us stay out all night, and they gave you these list of all these things you can't do, and then we just kind of used it as a checklist. All right, well, let's see, we got to rent motorcycles and check, we see who can break all the rules. So yeah, it's kind of like that.
Did you make it through the list?
No, we didn't. We got close. We got close.
Now, and I always think about this because I'm a real strong hometown guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever noticed that, Jim. I'm always looking for old friends and trying to remember. Mm-hmm. During this whole time in your life when you're abroad and you're in the military, are you staying connected to anyone back home, or are you just kind of done with that scene?
I don't know if I'm just never been diagnosed or whatever, but if I don't see you, I don't know you. And I don't know if that's like a spectrum thing or whatever, but I don't.
Yeah.
We're still friends in my mind, but I might not talk to somebody for 10 years.
And then come around, hey, what's up, Steve?
Yeah. So I don't know. That's just
now. Do
me.
they pick up where you left off? When you come back and see these individuals?
Yeah, if they're still friends.
Or do they
sure.
like, what the hell happened to you?
I haven't.
Jason,
had
you
that.
didn't call me for 5 years. We're not friends anymore.
I've never had that, but but I have been berated, like, where have you been and all this. I'm like,
Okay.
and that I'm like, well, what are you talking about? You know?
So that's confusing to you at the time.
yeah.
Because you're like, no, bro, like
Yeah.
our status remains the same. Are
Mm-hmm.
you like that, Jim?
No, I'm very social. As long as, but like you said, if you're out of sight, out of mind, you haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, remember when we were younger? It's like, oh man, I have like 200 plus friends, you know. And then you see them, you go and you see them, and then all of a sudden you're like, I only have 4 friends. You know.
Yeah.
After high school.
Yes, after.
I
yeah.
thought high school, like, you know, it was just like, oh, I'm gonna stay in touch with all these guys.
Yeah.
And then you go in your different paths, and life kind of consumes you, right? And then you come back to like maybe 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
That
No,
you stay
I mean, I
connected
have a
with.
friend that I've had since, gosh, I think I was like 11 or 12 years old, and he's worse than me, you know, and I think that's why
That's why it
probably
works.
Why, yeah, because
When's the last time you talked to him?
like he was on his deathbed probably 2 years ago, and I was like, all right, dude, I'm gonna come see you. You know, he's like, no, you know, it was like COVID era, and he's like, you know, don't come, just, you know that I love you and stuff. And I was like, you know, but I do think I should see you or whatever. And then he goes, all right, well, let me get some more information. I didn't hear from him about 6 months. And then he's like, dude, I'm so much better. Because he finally got another doctor because he was in hospice and
He was in hospice.
yeah, like he was dying. And then by chance he got to see a different doctor, and then the other doctor figured out what was wrong with him. And I don't know all that stuff, but there was something wrong around his heart, was filling up with liquid, and they were able to fix whatever the cause was, so it stopped. So he was
So
he
he's
lived.
still alive.
Yeah, he lived,
Okay,
and
good.
which was awesome. And he was like, all right, blah blah blah. And
What's his name?
Carrick,
Carrick.
yeah,
Can we get a round of applause for Carrick surviving? Thank you, brother, for staying alive.
so then I see them, you know, or I don't see him. I talk to him, and he's like, all right, man. Because the running joke was, you know, he went out to get me some cigarettes, and because the last time I saw him, he's like, hey, I'm gonna go grab some cigarettes. I'll be right back. And I never saw him again. You know,
That
'Cause
was it?
He's just flake. He's just flaky guy.
Yeah.
You know, and
Okay.
And so then, you know, that was like a year later. He's like, hey, what's going on? I was like, so I always give him a bunch of trash about it.
I'm going to ask you about this real quick because it just triggered something in me. Jim, tell me if you do this, right? Ian, Allen, jump in if you guys have done this or if you haven't or if you think it's strange. And I've done this often. Matter of fact, I did it on Saturday. So I'm out with friends, right? And we're hanging out. We're having a good time. We may be at a bar, a restaurant, wherever it may be, even a house party sometimes, right? And it's a big group of people. And what I found over the years is that it's never a good time to leave. So you're going to have to say goodbye to 30 plus people. And they're all going to try to get you to stay longer, right? So it adds about 30 minutes to your exit. And for better or worse, this may be my thing, right? That I do. But a lot of times I'll just find a good moment where I've said hello to everybody, hung out, and I'm out the door. Remember I told you about Saturday, Jim, that I was at the thing? Well, it got to the point where I was like, okay, it's time to go. This was in Visalia. Barrel House Brewery, nice spot. And it disappeared.
Disappeared.
As someone said, it's called an Irish
Goodbye.
Irish goodbye. I'd never heard that, but somebody
Yeah.
told me that recently.
It's like, where's the bathroom? And then
Now, do you guys
and
do
sneak
this?
out.
Does anyone do this?
I
Or
do
is-
that all the time.
Do you-
Yeah, I
What are your reasons? I told you mine.
don't know, ADD. I don't know. So like I went to a reunion about 10 years ago for the Marines, right? And then we went to Las Vegas, and they all remember me doing this all the time because I would never say I'm going here or whatever. I would just go with
I'm
people.
gonna go get some cigarettes.
Yeah, pretty much, you know. But I would, I would go, like, we went to and when I was still in the Marines, we went to Las Vegas, and then when there's an Air Force base there, so they wanted to go there. Just
Oh,
back-
the Nellis?
I
Nellis Air
guess
Force?
so.
Yeah.
And they wanted to go there to cash a check or something. And you know, as a Marine, you could go there and do that. And during the time that they were doing that, I met people, a bunch of ladies, and then I started playing spades with them. And then so 4 hours later, they find me and they are so angry because they've had stuff to do. But I was like having so much fun, you know, all these one Marine and 12 ladies, and they're just playing spades and stuff. Yeah, so they're always, that was the running joke from.
So what's worse though? At least you go to the party compared to having a friend who's saying he's on his way and he'll be there in 5 minutes. and you're
Nasser
still
Mansour
waiting.
is his
Yes.
name.
Unbelievable.
we have a mutual friend, right? Who's really close to us, Nasser, and he's known for telling you that he's around the corner. he's
He
about
never
he's about an hour
An hour
away,
away, yeah.
and sometimes he's so far that he never gets there.
Okay.
Right, and sometimes like whenever, okay, so it's Nasser, Jim, and myself, and whenever we like get together, it's me and him just waiting for Nasser, and we've now gotten to the point where we'll just start doing our thing and not even think about him anymore, assuming that we won't see him, and then sometimes he'll show.
Or what time's the event? 5 when it's really 6. It's like just to see if he'll get there on time.
Around the corner. So okay, so Ian, have you ever just left?
I'm about like son, but a lot of people have caught on to that, and so I pretty much have a bell on me every time I go to social events.
They're like, he might leave us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Alan, do you just take off, or do you say goodbye? What do you do?
Oh, absolutely.
Like you just take off?
Yeah. I was there for the party, not the vibe.
Yeah, you know what? That's true, Jim. I don't feel so bad because at least I showed up, right?
True. Yeah.
Because there's some guys who didn't even, had the opportunity to show up, and so
Yeah.
there's no goodbye there either, or hello. At least I had a hello, right?
That's it.
See, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to continue to do this or not. I won't do it at like small, intimate events, right? Like there's 5 of us here, right? I
No,
won't
you
just do it here.
Sorry,
Pretty
goodbye, guys.
obvious. Yeah,
See you
it's
later.
obvious.
But
I
big
get in
part-
trouble for not leaving on time though. It's like, oh, you were supposed to leave. I was like, oh yeah, I'm leaving. I'm already out the door. And then 2 hours later, my wife will text me saying, "It's been 2 hours. Where are you?" Oh, I'm still here. Shoot. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so okay, so all right, we're somewhat all of us guilty to some degree with that one. So now
So I went to that reunion.
Yeah.
And then, checked in, and I was like, well, I'm going to go take a nap, and I did. And apparently we were all supposed to meet up. And then finally you got somebody up at my door, and they're banging on the door, and I finally get up, and they're like, where on earth have you been? And I was like, I was taking a nap, and
real matter of fact.
yeah, and so I come down, and there was like 15 Marines, and they were like, flipping Sprags, because it's just par for the course.
They knew. And so here's the other side to that, I think, where people react, and sometimes, because there's always a couple of people who like get real fixated on it and offended to some degree, right? And I always thought, okay, wow, that's
I hope not.
it's a big deal, was it that bad? And so I asked about that. I said, okay, so I see you're pretty upset about the exit or showing up, 2 hours. And their mindset was that our time on earth is limited.
It is.
So if we're real casual and not very intentional about showing up and spending that time, we could miss out on somebody's last visit. And I didn't really get that as a youngster, but now that I'm, 51 now and I've lost some people, I realized now going back, I don't know if you ever do this, Jim, like the last time I saw so-and-so, it was a very uneventful goodbye because we assumed we'd see him again.
But you can't make every goodbye eventful either, because
too dramatic, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, thank you for right.
Yeah, right.
It's like, no, relax, bro. I'm gonna see you
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yeah,
You
no,
don't know that.
you can't live that way.
Yeah.
You cannot. And so, I think there's a balance. You can't live like it's your last goodbye. But I feel like moms are really big on that, right? With the big hug and, okay, I'll see you next. Mom, I live down the street. No,
Yeah.
we'll see you.
Well, I mean, they raised you.
They know.
They have you. Growing up, of course.
Yeah.
Like that love isn't gonna just turn off, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's there,
And they
so,
still see you.
yeah,
a
you're
lot of
still gonna
times.
be, their baby.
The baby.
Right?
And that's okay. So I'm going to talk briefly about the event you told me, and this is why it stuck with me. So Jason was sharing about being in the military, and in Somalia, I believe, at the time, or where were you? Where there was a fence and the kids' braces.
Oh yeah, it was Somalia.
Somalia, yeah. So they had a fence. They said, "Don't cross the fence." One of the Somalians who was selling bracelets
Yeah.
dropped a few on the fence where he wasn't supposed to cross over.
Over the fence. Yeah.
Over the fence. So he jumps over the fence just to collect his bracelets.
Yeah.
And one of the Nigerian soldiers bludgeons him.
Yeah. And then
he passed.
what the crazy thing is that happens, and then everyone is there trying to sell things, right? Because there is no money. It's all barter, right?
Yeah.
And one of the people that was trying like this really awesome like club, but hand carved kind of, you know. So the Nigerian guy grabs it and then bludgeons.
Oh, that was
kid.
something that was.
And then hands
being
it back
sold.
to the person because he's not going, and it's all bloody. Hands it back to him, you know, like, oh, I'm not gonna buy this, and then grabs the kid and his stuff and throws him back over the fence. So that's, you know, things like that. You see that, and you're just like, man.
Well, see, that's what stuck with me was, I kept thinking that kid who was trying to make a living and was, you know.
It's not a living. There's no living.
Well,
like it was
yeah,
horrible
he's just
over
trying
there.
to survive or whatnot.
Survive.
I thought to myself, that's somebody's child.
Yeah.
That's somebody's son who just lost their life this way.
Yeah,
And that's what
it's a whole
hit
different
me
story.
so hard is that we're all at one point, we're all just these tender, kind, innocent infants.
Yeah.
And then based on our environment and situations, some of us get to live one type of life, and others live the life that you saw in Somalia, which you said wasn't even a living.
No, and I think the one thing I can tell you is those people were born without hope, and that
Yeah, you did say that.
they're never going to have anything. And I mean, I'm sure there's people over there that have a different
Yeah.
life, but the people that we came in contact with, you couldn't help but feel sorry for them, right? There was people like their whole job was like ladies would walk like 2 or 3 miles with like, you know, like a little plastic container that's, you know, like you ever seen a plastic container that's been out in the sun so long that it's super brittle and it'll just fall apart?
Yes.
But that's all they had. So they would have that and they walk like 2 miles to get water. And that water is nasty, right? And they would take that, you know, I guess for not just for them to drink, but they'd also pour this water like on their crops, right? So horrible living conditions. And then there was one guy that would have a little crop thing. And then when I say crop, I mean, it's pretty ghetto. It's horrible. Like there's like 6 plants or something. They just sit there with a stick. And that guy's job is to sit in the sun all day and make sure the animals don't eat the 4 things that are growing there, you know. And we used to, I mean, we were pretty callous, but we used to think it was like the Olympics, you know, like the Somali Olympics, because animals would run in there and then they would have that stick and they would try to drive the animal out, right? Of course, right? But then the animals were smart, and then 2 animals would come in on behind them and they would eat all their stuff.
Oh, my God.
And it was just like they never caught a break ever. Yeah.
And so after you, okay, so here's what I asked, because I've never seen anything like that. The worst I've ever
It's
had.
good. It's good. I don't want anyone to see it. I don't want those people to see it. It's just it's devastating to you. But
But then you come back, right?
If I can say the one thing that it did for me was it gave me perspective. Like I'm not getting shot at every day. I'm not, you know, no matter what happens, I can always come back from wherever I'm at, right?
Yeah.
I have my family, I have my health, you know, I can always do something. These people don't have that, and it's humbling. Like you're just like, wow, how can I really complain about anything that happened today when you know that other people go through things like that? So for me, you know, that kind of goes back to my business, you know, like, you know, if I spend 6 hours and fix things for you and it, you know, it's great for you, you know, I did something for you, right? Like I'm not getting
exactly
shot.
what you did.
I'm not getting shot at, you know, I mean, it's a whole different perspective, you know?
Yeah, I know. See, because I've been trying to figure you guys out because it's kind of hard to grasp. And I'm not saying that the world is like cold and that because I do, you know, I get a lot of love. I know Jim gets a lot of love from different people. But to have the type of love you guys have shown me in such a short amount of time, for me, it's a little mind-boggling. Like, I have to grasp it and try to make sense of it. And the more I hear about,
sad thing is it shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be so rare, right?
Yeah, and so when you guys, you know, the way you are, I had to try to make sense of it, and a lot of it is now making sense because of some of the things you're sharing about what you guys experienced.
Yeah, and then I worked in after I got out of the Marines. I worked in running factories all over and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, because I was like, oh, let's do something else. And
Were you living back in Hanford then, or
I've lived in Hanford, Los Angeles, New Mexico, like all over the place.
all
right?
over?
And I ran all these different, supervised all these different factories and things like that.
Yeah.
And some of it was okay. I mean, it's just mind numbing. Like it's boring, and it's just like
Your brain moves fast.
yeah.
So
And
now, when do you decide? At some point, you had to decide, I'm coming back to Hanford. I'm going to build a family. When does that happen?
Oh, for the family, gosh, that was probably I started dating my wife. I was still in the Marines. I was like,
Oh, so
just
you've known
getting out.
her back in the day. She's from Hanford.
Yeah, or series or something like that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys stayed in touch?
No, we just I met her. I came down here to see my dad, and then met her, and then started talking to her. Then and it was like, well, this seems all right.
And now you have a family. So you have 3 children, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I believe, Ian, you're the middle child. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yeah.
What is it like working with your father and just,
Cover your ears.
Exactly.
It's a great boss. He's nice. We kind of fell into each other's spectrum of work by accident. I was doing my own thing. He was doing his thing, and it just kind of happened by accident. Because I was getting into film, I was getting into photography. Fell into photography by accident when I was in the Bitwise circle. Met Team USA, started being a photographer for them.
and so that's how
Just
you guys came back together.
it's just they had a need, and I was like, oh yeah, I could do that for you.
That is awesome. Did you ever think growing up that you might end up working with your father? Or did that ever cross your mind?
With how everything gets weird and crazy, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like you have more of your father's traits, your mom's, or a combination of the two?
A combination. I have some of his weirdness in him.
Weirdness. Is that what we're calling it, Jason?
That's fine.
So now that you're in this, you've worked closely together for all these years.
Mm-hmm.
What is, because I'm sure just knowing you guys, you've helped plenty of people. What is a memorable experience you can remember where you really had an impact on somebody's business or somebody's nonprofit that really helped them?
I had to pull back to like last week when I was working with the team, the Special Olympics of Kings County.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was just a very heartwarming, cheerful experience for me.
Now, were you working on their website, their marketing, or what were you
I
guys
met
doing
the
for-
team, and I met the parents, I met the coaches, and I was looking at just getting involved with them.
So yeah, one of the parents works for UCP, United Cerebral Palsy.
Yeah.
And we had met her, and then she was telling us about the Special Olympics, and I'd worked with them before, and said, like, I don't know what we can do for you guys, but we have a lot of technical skills and things like that, but we'd love to help. And she,
Yeah.
would you like to come and root on some of the athletes? And I was like, absolutely. So that's when we went down there.
Where do they
They
train?
were it was bowling, right?
Yeah. It was the
Oh, that was the bowling alley that you guys were telling me about, the bowling
Yeah,
alley
yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
Kings County Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay, so Broken Cup has now been together 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? Broken Cup Studio. Where do you guys see this going? in the
Well, we
future?
work for another company.
Yeah.
On our day job, basically, we work for a marketing company in Fresno, and then we mostly work for them. 99% of the time, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And that's Project 15, right? So we do all of that, and then when smaller projects come, like your project, then
Yeah.
we'll take it, and that just pays for the light bill, right, over in the office.
Yeah.
But anything that's like larger or anything, I always try to push it to the parent company, in that way. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's the owner of that place is best boss I've ever had, absolute best boss ever. And then so anything that's big enough that I always push it to that company, and we do the work there. But anything that's too small for that company to really take, then we do it
You guys take it.
in-house here.
So, I was really impressed. You guys have the Spanish website, and
Yeah.
like language is not a barrier. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit, Jim. You need to tune in on this, okay? Because we're gonna set them up to see if we can ask. I went to their building, right? Because they have an office. They had the big office in Fresno, but then they have the smaller office in downtown Hanford, right next to the old Fox Theater, Irwin Street, correct? What's the name of that building?
The Wealth Building.
The Wealth Building. See, I don't even know how long it's been around, but when I'm walking in there, I feel energy. I'm like, things have happened in this place.
We had
You
talked
see where I'm going, Jim?
We had talked to
Daisy?
from,
Lucy?
was it Dulce Studios?
Get Dulce.
Yeah,
Okay,
Dulce
she's
Studios.
got a unit there too.
Yeah, and she's been there for a decade probably. And she says that she's seen stuff. So
She's seen stuff.
We asked for you. Yeah.
Thank you. And Jim, the reason I bring this up, right, because when I was walking in there, everything's carpeted. So it has those long carpeted hallways. And every time I think of a long carpeted hallway, I picture a little boy on a tricycle, The Shining, right? And so I got the Shining vibe, and I'm like, something happened here. I don't know what, but something's happened here. So I was asking the guys, and luckily, thank you guys talked to some people there who have, there's an energy. There's some activity going on in that place.
Yeah, it's just all the digital cool stuff we do. That's all.
That's what it is. Oh, yeah, because you did say you had the special effects, right? That was lighting up the office.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So our small rig, we were, testing that out one day and scared the heck out of everybody walking by because that thing's powerful, and so it was like the lightning mode or something, and everybody's like, "What's going on?"
Yeah,
Looked like the
what's going on in
Ghostbusters
that
or something.
place?
Yeah.
No, don't go in that unit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have the digital marketing. Then we have the team,
Yeah.
right? Alan's off camera here, but the team is the trio, the Three Musketeers. Obviously your son, but how did Alan come into the picture?
So Alan is a software engineer, right? So he works for Project 15. Actually, he worked for another parent company or sister company building custom software for agriculture.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of SEO work and things like that. And so they asked me to come look at those products. I went and look at it, and I was like, oh man, you guys need a lot of help. So I talked to Alan. Alan is a software guy, but he wasn't a web guy, for marketing. Told him what was going on, and he was just like right on it, just, all right, let's get it fixed. So then they fixed everything, and just created a friendship from there. It's like having Google right next to you. He's a brilliant guy. Yeah. Yeah.
No, Jim, check this out. The first time I met them, I was talking to Jason, right? And I thought the other two guys were working on other projects, and they're typing away and doing stuff. And as I'm sharing things with Jason, he's just referencing, oh yeah, so we had this one thing, 200 teachers, whatever, right? And then Ian would be like, oh, 200 teachers, got it right here, right? And then I'd mention something else, and then Alan would have it like in seconds. And then he would start telling me about things that I was about to tell Jason. So like the whole team is in tune to your
It's
conversation.
like a researcher.
Yeah, I've never been
built
in an environment where I had three different individuals all actively.
Well, that's what we do for a living.
I was like, what?
We do this for a living, so we have such a diverse.
But you didn't even talk about it. There was no like, okay, Alan took it. It was just like everybody fell.
We
in
all
the line.
have to do that, we'll have
The
a
chemistry's
solar
great.
company today, and then tomorrow we have a dog clothes manufacturer, or the next day we have like United Cerebral Palsy, or you name it, and
Yeah.
we have to learn not only about their business, but we have to become advocates for their business.
Yeah,
So you have to be.
it's fast.
It takes everyone to just learn it as fast as you can, look for their pain points, solve the pain points, and then and then be able to promote whatever their organization is.
It's impressive. I wish we should record. You guys should have like a reality show where we record you guys working just to see how fast it's happening and how it's all like simultaneously working. I went in there. I think I was there maybe 30 minutes with you guys, and you guys already found out how bad the website was, what wasn't working. And Jim, they taught me this whole thing about talking to the bots, is what they call it, which is how the algorithm and the computer, reads the information you're providing to either help you or hurt you. We were hurting ourselves pretty bad. And he was like, yeah, so audience, we're going to give you a freebie real quick. And this comes from Broken Cup Studio. Check this out. When you have a YouTube channel, right, and you are creating a description for your video, right, there's a certain way to write that description that's going to help gain more exposure. And I didn't know that. So Jimmy pulls up one of our videos that I had, I don't know, it was early on or whatever, and it was like one sentence. And he's like, bro, no one's going to see this. And I was like, what? But it's posted. It's got a title. No. And then he was just like, say this word X amount of times, say this.
So you have things called like keyword density.
That's what it was.
And you don't want to stuff anything. But, I mean, basically, Google and pretty basically any of them, but like Google and YouTube, they're same thing. They're search engines, So you're going to want to make sure that your descriptions are in there and that they talk about whatever, the podcast is about. And you want to be able to make sure that, when someone's searching for a specific term, that you have a chance to be shown, right? And if you're talking about, I don't know what you're going to say we're talking about. We're just all over
Digital
the place.
marketing.
Okay.
Marines.
Yeah. So this, so then you're going to want to put that together, and and also another thing is I believe would help would be the Alan, what are those things called, the chapters?
Yeah, it's chapters in the video.
Chapters in the video.
Yeah, so that's nice too. I mean, it might be more of a UI UX thing, but
So that means breaking the video down into smaller segments. Does it do that automatically when we post it, or we have to?
No.
We have to hit the chapter button, or what do we have to do?
No, like in your description, like if you look at some of them, a lot of times you'll see, that like
minutes,
in
30
this,
seconds.
10 minutes and 20 seconds, we went from, me talking about Marine Corps to
the transition.
whatever, and then
Subjects.
now we're talking about this, and then whatever. So it just helps people to find, what they're looking for too.
And then you guys were also talking about something that Jim always talks about is shorts. That you could get a lot of views on a short versus somebody committing an hour and a half.
Yeah. So a lot of times what you'll do on something like this is, I believe the term is chunking. So you'll just chunk all the video, and then you can cut it up into a minute, minute, 30 seconds, whatever it is, these little sound bites and the shorts and everything else. And you can utilize that throughout, and I mean,
Post it on
in different platforms and everything
social
else, and you can drive that traffic in. It's just kind of like how wide is your net you're casting,
Yeah, and you catch more fish. The reason that I know this to be true, and Jim even pointed it out one time. So we did some episodes. He did the production studio. I mean, it looked nice, right? And then I was home, and I'm like, I'm going to feed the fish in the podcast room. So I was feeding the fish, and I recorded them because I have some freshwater eels that come out of the rocks. It's like a 30-second unedited clip. And like an hour or two later, had 2,000 views. And we're like, what happened? I put the word aquarium.
Yeah.
Right? That's like a big... yeah. And then here's a funny one. I didn't mention this to you guys, but last year I was playing I call it old man baseball, right? 50 and over. So you can imagine what that might look like.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm pitching, and somebody hits the ball, and like I stumble and fall. It's like what do you call them? The Three Stooges type of right situation here. But I put baseball in there, and I put a couple of key terms. So the bunch of guys were searching up MLB stuff, and they were getting my videos.
Yeah.
And they just ripped me to shreds in the comments. Like, what the hell is this? What did I do to deserve this? Somebody take his glove away, right?
Yeah. No.
And I'm getting all these views.
Yeah, that is the way to do it. I mean, if you look at social media right now, especially for like the last, 5 or 6 years, there's a term that engagement. So like
Enragement, engagement.
yeah, so they'll say like mean things or trigger things and stuff. Like politics is a big one. Like, so you have like polarized sides, and so they both will say like horrible things about the other, and it's clickbaity and all this other junk. But it's only there to make you angry. It make you angry to engage. So you're enraged, you're engaged.
Enragement, engagement.
Yeah.
Wow.
So-
Have you heard that term, Jim?
Yeah, something like that. But he clicked on clicked. Go figure. The clickbait thing is really.
Yeah.
My kids would be like, why are they doing that? And I go, did you click on it? Well, yeah, because I wanted to see, you know. And I was laughing one time. I said, yeah. So when they show this really nice looking girl in a bikini fishing, and then when you scroll through it, there's a fat guy off in the boat. There's no hot looking girl in a bikini anywhere in that video. And they just put it was clickbait,
Yeah.
So
So for me, and I think Jim kind of feels the same way on this. We never are going to feel comfortable tricking you into coming.
Yeah. Well, you're never.
Right? We want to let you know.
Yeah. You can get a lot of views for a lot of things. You can do a lot of things, but will you convert? Right.
Yeah.
It's like when I do digital ads, for people like, well, my last company got me 50 million views. I'm like, yeah, well, how many customers did you get? Well, what does that mean? I'm like, well, I mean, I can put the word free in your ad and I can get you 100 million views, but nobody's there to buy your product. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like you just it's all metrics. Like you have to know who your target market is.
ooh, you said it.
Yeah.
Target.
Just thinking your target audience.
Yeah.
Who's your targeted audience?
Yeah, you have to know who they are, where they're at, what's going to convert them, and then I don't do enragement marketing, but I do emotional marketing.
Yeah.
So I'll use emotional words and trigger words like that too, but I mean, this is all, if you do this long enough, this is all like simple marketing, but a lot of people don't think about that. Like,
No.
if I talk to you about like how cool I am all the time and everything,
Yeah.
that doesn't give you anything. But if I tell you I found your problem and this is how I can solve it for you, then you're like, wait, and you want to listen to that because
Yeah.
obviously this bothers me or whatever, And if it's something brand new, you always market that negative, So like, if it's something brand new to the market, it'd be like, it would have a negative thing and that converts higher. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, you know what really helped me when you guys were doing that marketing 101 with us, and you gave the example of a circus.
Yeah, that's a famous one. Yeah.
Have you heard this one about the circus? Can you briefly summarize what you said?
So you kind of talk about
This is marketing, right?
if a circus is coming to town and you paint a sign that the circus is coming to town, that's advertising. If you let the elephant walk across the mayor's garden, and trample its flowers, then that's what was that? That would be publicity, And then if you get or no, that would be PR. Sorry. And then if you get the mayor to talk about it and laugh about it, then that's PR. Sorry, But you understand, like there's all those,
every version of how you
it's
present
all
the
marketing.
circus is all
if you
marketing.
plan the entire thing, that's marketing. Yeah.
Yes, it can't just be accidental.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people are trying to survive off accidental marketing, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of science behind it. Some of it's pseudoscience, but it's there, and if it works, it works. The biggest thing I can tell you is if you're trying to get into this, learn analytics. Because I can tell you, I feel this is how these things work, but that doesn't mean anything. Look at the data, and the data will tell you what to do.
Yeah.
You can A/B test everything. Just send out one version and another version, and then measure them. And if A works better, then get rid of B and then do AC, A and AD, and DA or whatever, and you just keep going until you get the perfect conversion rates.
So this is where I struggle. Jim, tell me if this is your struggle as well. It's a creative process, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say that you made 2 different endings to a movie. That movie's your baby. You spent your life savings on it. You wrote the script. And in one ending, the baby dies. In the other ending, the baby lives, right? And you really like a happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to your test audience, and everyone in the theater had a stronger response and felt more connected to the movie when the baby passed away.
Mm-hmm.
But because you're so in love with your creative process. Nope, we're not doing that version. We're releasing,
So you'll release the one that everyone likes, and then you'll turn around and you'll do a DVD with an alternative ending, and you make even more money.
Oh, so you get to
Why
double
not?
dip. Yeah, so I don't know. I think my problem is I fall in love with something so much that it's almost like, well, I don't care about the analytics. I'm going with the one that felt right to me, right?
My thing is for people is like like search engines and stuff like that. Do you know the cure to cancer is probably on page 3 of Google? Because no one's ever seen page 3 of Google. Nobody goes that far.
Oh,
Right. So
yeah.
you can have the best thing in the world,
Yeah.
but if you're not in front of them, you're not the
Yeah.
first couple. You've got no way of sharing your idea.
That's a great point. I know. Okay, so Jim, this is what they did for me in like a day. Jason was like, most people, if not all, are seeing your Reestablishing Stratford website. They're not seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, what happened? And so they explained it in their in the technical verbiage. And so I said, well, what do we do? And so we have to change the way that your website is speaking to the bots.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you guys told me about bots. So then he sends me a text like today or yesterday.
That's today.
He's like, when you do a Reestablishing Stratford search, you're the first 13. The first 13 things on there are you guys.
Yeah.
And all couple of tweaks.
And you watched us. Oops, sorry.
And I was like, what the?
You watched the original. You had one, and
Yeah.
it's hard to find.
It was hard to find.
Yeah.
And so just little tweaks like that make a huge difference for companies.
Yeah. So I mean, nobody wants to work on SEO because it's expensive, right? That's what we did for you with on-page SEO, and it's easy. As long as you are able to manipulate everything, right? It's not bad. The off page becomes very expensive, so not a lot of people will opt out of that, and they will pay for pay per click because it's fast, it's instant, and they can get the traffic there. The best way, if your budget is good, is do both, because eventually you can cut back on your ad spend and rely a lot more on your organic.
Wow. And how many, with all the years you guys been working, how many companies do you think you've worked with over the years? Hundreds,
We were talking
thousands?
about that. A lot of people in our position have only done 10 websites or something like that. It's got to be in. I don't think it's been 1,000, but I bet you it's been. I know it's been in the hundreds, which is crazy, right?
That is crazy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you think about the positive effect you're having per company, right?
Yeah, so I will say that one of the things that I can really brag about, and I don't like to really brag about, but will brag about this, our retention rate is insane. Because most of the companies that I've come in contact with, their retention rate is maybe 3 to 6 months. Man, I think our average is like 4 years.
People say that. I can see that. I can easily see that.
It's crazy, and then especially when you see like the churn rate and it's so high on every other company, and then you work with some of these companies, you're like, oh, I could see why. That change that they emailed you about is going to take 2 weeks. Come on.
Yeah.
That took 30 seconds, and I did it right before I went to break.
You're the honest mechanic.
Yeah.
You're telling us. Now,
Yeah.
I want to talk about what I think really makes you guys different from me. And I was lucky because I was in the office with you. And you guys were helping me with the website, and we were doing different things. But it was the side conversations that really hit me. And one in particular, Alan, I don't know if you heard this one, but we were talking about a homeless guy.
Oh,
that
yeah.
hangs-
Skateboard Jesus.
Skateboard Jesus.
Yeah.
I told him, Jim, that's like the best name for a band. Skateboard Jesus, right? I even wrote it down on my phone. But as a matter of fact, I got to do this real quick because I haven't done this before. I'm going to pull up the name of all the bands. So when I hear like a good like catchphrase or a combination of words, I write it down in my phone as potential band names if I was going to have a band, right? So, Jim, you ready for this? Here's the list of band names that I've come up with. Because I've heard other people say these words and go, kind of works. I could see it on an album. You vote. You guys tell me which one you like is the best. First one's called Husky Lips. Donkey Green. I just like those words together. Rough Country. Swamp Ass. Lazy Wipers. The Skippity Hops. Groove Deluxe. I don't know why that works. Drippy Sweat. Ready Rock. Pound Cake. Lil Baby King. And Skateboard Jesus. Don't that sound like a list, like a Lollapalooza list?
What is the origin of lazy wipers?
Lazy Wipers.
Like windshield wipers, or what is this?
No, it's because I was talking to a female friend, and she was complaining about her family. Mm-hmm. I can't believe I'm telling you guys this. I will never say her name, right? But listen to this, Jim. I was talking to this female friend about laundry and cleaning and stuff because I was saying, hey, my boys, they play baseball now, and my daughter, and guess what? They've all play on teams with white pants. And she's like, well, at least you don't have a family of lazy wipers. And I was like, what? She's like, you guys get what I'm going here? Yeah. She says, it's like she said, I can't tell my 8-year-old son's drawers from my husband's drawers. It's like they're all lazy wipers.
Lazy wipers.
And I said, I have your solution. She's like, what is it? I go, wet wipes. She's like, oh, never thought about that. It's much more effective. But yeah, so, and then as she's telling me that, I said, hold on, this is a great band name, the Lazy Wipers. So yeah. Sorry, Susan, I'm trying to protect you. I won't say your name again. But yeah, no, so that's kind of the outside conversations we had really gave me a sense of who you guys are. And one of them that you said, Jason, was that you had this homeless guy named Skateboard Jesus, and he's downtown area, and he comes around. He used to have a skateboard, then he broke it. Yeah. But he comes around regularly, and you guys talk to him, and he said something to you one time, and it kind of it hit me hard. Yeah. Go ahead and tell us what he said to you.
So, Skateboard Jesus is well, first of all, we call him that because he's super religious, and he talks about scriptures and stuff like that.
Amen.
He's really nice, really nice guy, but he does have some stability problems. Like, I understand what's going on, and some days are better than others. But he comes over and he talks to us, and we talk to him, and he asks us questions, and just interact like normal. And I think we've been talking to this guy for about 1.5 years or so. Yeah. He's a nice enough guy, and then when he's having a bad day, he runs. He's got all aggression or whatever. He just runs and he runs and he runs, and he runs, and you'll see him downtown just running, and he's not a very big guy, like height wise. Anyway, I remember he just told me, you know what? I really appreciate you guys because you're the only people that make me feel like a person. Most people won't talk to me, and I don't feel like I'm human. But you guys have never done that. You always talk to me. And I said, yeah, don't worry about it. But inside, I'm just dying. I'm like, oh, that is horrible that you feel like that,
And you said something else, Jason, that hit me, because I do consider myself a Christian, a man who follows God. And you had said, I don't really do the church thing or anything like that. Yeah. But you said something, and man, it hit me deep because I went to church yesterday, and I was looking at all the people in the church, and you said something to the effect of like, you said, I've worked with or been around a lot of people who claim to be Christians or men of God, and I
don't see a whole lot of people talking to people like Skateboard Jesus. Yeah. And I would think that would be kind of
part of it, right?
Part of it, but
And that was a very hard thing to have to hear, because I went back to church and I'm looking around and I'm thinking, out of all of us here, how many of us are really walking the walk? We show up on Sundays and we sing and praise and.
Oh, I'm not against religion. I think the only reason that Skateboard Jesus isn't in a jail cell or something is because he has that that.
Oh, and you said something else, like the people will take some of the homeless and drive them to other cities. Yeah. Explain that to me. Jim, have you heard this?
I don't know this. I mean, this is just what Skateboard Jesus tells us. And he'll be gone for like a month or so. And he's like, oh yeah, they picked me up some church or whatever, and they'll take him to Dinuba or Bakersfield or something to help him
Get him help, like a place to live.
I guess, but it never works out. He was like, he dropped me off over here, and it didn't work out. And then he
Finds his way back.
finds his way back. I don't know how he, I guess hitchhiking or walking
Yeah.
or whatever. It takes him about a month, but
He'll come back.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm hoping that that's his opinion of what happens. I hope that's not a true thing that these guys are doing that, 'cause that's pretty mean,
Yeah. And so I want to end this by just saying that I'm really appreciative of the fact that you guys have seen some of the worst parts of humanity, in your days. And despite all of that, you remain kind individuals who sincerely want to help others. And so that's
You should always help people.
Yeah.
You should always try to be kind. It doesn't hurt anyone.
Where'd you learn that though? Where'd that come from? Do you feel like that's just you?
Shouldn't it be everyone?
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be everyone? That's the perfect line. It should.
Just be kind. It doesn't hurt. And if you don't agree with somebody, it's okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you have to destroy that person or whatever.
Yeah.
It's fine. I have such a different filter than you do. Like the way I'm going to view the world, it's going to be different than how you view it.
Yeah.
And I can't make you view the same way I do. We have different experiences, but at the end of the day, I could still be kind about it.
Amen. Wow. So if you guys want to work with these guys, and I strongly recommend that you do that, I'm going to leave a link to their website and I'll be willing to share, if you want to reach out to me, the work that they've done that I've witnessed firsthand. This is a good group of guys. If we're talking mechanics, this is the honest mechanic of the digital marketing world, right? And so check them out, Broken Cup Studio, based out of Hanford. Thank you guys for being here. Jason
Thank you.
Spriggs, Ian Spriggs, and Alan Mills. We had to get you on camera next time, right?
We'll see.
Yeah. No, Alan told me straight up when we were first talking about it, say, hey, need 2 chairs. He goes, get 2 chairs. I'm the camera guy. I'm the background guy. I'll put in my 2 cents when I need to.
Yeah.
But it's a great work thing, and I love working with you guys. I'm so grateful to have met you, and thank you for coming on the show. Hopefully we
Absolutely.
can go on your podcast. Jim, you want to go on a podcast?
Yeah, for sure.
We need to get Jim in front of the
Yeah.
camera. When are we going to get Jim back in front?
I know we
over
need
here?
to do a segment too.
He's got like 8 arms doing all that stuff. But if we go visit Broken Cup, Jim, then you get to hang back and then.
I'll sit in the back. Oh, I'll watch what they do.
No, you're gonna be No, Alan will be right. Is it Alan or who's running the cameras and stuff?
Well, it's both of those guys, because nobody wants to be on camera, and I'm just an old man. I don't have any shame. I'll jump on a camera.
He's a spokesperson. I remember when you guys presented, you were out there and you guys were kind of at the table, and then you guys would just kind of throw in your 2 cents, and then but you were the
Yeah, I'll always do it. It's my cross to bear, if you will. I've got no shame. I'll just jump up and talk to anybody.
That's
like a
true.
barricade.
That's true, and it makes I don't know. It makes me feel comfortable because you don't have a. Some people have to build up to it, like kind of deep breath or put on a persona to be in front of people, and it's just like you get the same Jason at the La Fiesta Mexican restaurant that you do in the office in front. I was like, he's the same guy. It's the same.
And
tone.
it keeps it easier. I don't have to remember who I was supposed to be yesterday.
Exactly.
Just be.
Keep it real.
Just be real, and just if people don't like you, that's okay. They weren't for you.
Yeah. I wish I would have met you when I was in my teenage years.
I was mean back then.
Were you?
We already talked about that.
I would have got beaten up.
No, you probably would ended up in the Marine Corps with me.
My whole thing was like, I have to be liked. I have to be accepted by others, right? I was doing all these things to be accepted by others, and you guys just seem so comfortable in your own skin. Like, this is who we are. This is what we do, and some people enjoy it, some people don't.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Right? You guys, make sure to like and subscribe this episode and follow Broken Cup Studio because they're doing some great things out there. Until next time, RobLive saying, as always, love, peace, chicken grease. We out.